Welcome back to the Sam GW channel. A quick review of Oxford United's 1-0 loss to Burnley at Turf Moor. The unbeaten run to Gary Rowett's time as Oxford United manager has come to an end, but unsurprisingly, it's at one of the fortresses in the Championship. Let's talk about it. So yes, it finishes at 1-0 to Scott Parker's side at Turf Moor. Like I say, not entirely surprising given that Burnley are unbeaten at Turf Moor this campaign. And as we'll get into, as you can see, it was pretty much domination from the home side. They should have been ahead way before Michal Helick puts the ball inadvertently in the back of his own net. They had a couple of big chances in this game. But ultimately, it's one of those games we expected to be a very tough encounter. If you look at those kind of sides in that promotion race, Sunderland, Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley, we've lost away to each of them. Again, unsurprising given that one of the key parts of being a promotion side is making sure your home form is as spotless as humanly possible. And like I say, not entirely surprising that we lost this game. Let's go through the lineup. Of course, Jamie Cumming starts in goal with Sam Long and Greg Lee as the fullbacks. Michal Helick and Kieran Brown, of course, continuing in their spell as the centre-backs, I should say. Defensive midfielders, of course, Will Vaulks and Cameron Branningham. Alex Matos gets his start as the 10 with Shemi Poheta and Tyler Goodrum out wide of him, with Tom Bradshaw up top. As we'll go through, Matos had a really good game, especially in the 10 role in the first half. Really tenacious, really really all action in that sense for Alex Matos. Of course, we've got to look at the first half statistics. Obviously, it's a battering. Throughout the entire game, Oxford don't have a shot on target, which tells two stories. The first, of course, is that Burnley are, in the first half especially, really good defensively, limiting Oxford to many big chances. I am surprised that at least one of these chances noted down as a big one, given it's not like we were useless at creating, especially from set piece. I thought we were more ever so slightly better than from open play. But like I said, their goal was coming, absolutely no doubt about it. They missed all three of their big chances. That really tells the tale. So if we look at them, the first major one is this one from Lyle Foster. It's a great move down the down our right hand side, I should say. Sam Long, he was getting really troubled by Lyle Foster all night long, and then Foster, he just puts it wide. Big chance for the home side, and this was really kind of, we get off scot-free from this one also, I should mention now I'm remembering. Let's see if we can find it on the shot map. It was so early into the game. Must be this one from Fleming. Was the one that leads to the corner. Essentially, Oxford poor, passing out from the back in that moment, give the ball away. And must be something to think about from Zian Fleming, given the location, kind of the resulting corner kick. Yeah, it's really poorly dealt with. Jamie Cumming gets caught on the ball, tries to play his way out of danger, makes a really big save to make up for it. I will say fair play to Jamie on that one. But yeah, this was a huge opportunity. And like I say, it was coming in that flurry that Foster was literally a minute apart, and they were really looking to open the scoring. And again, should have with I'm not gonna, is this? I don't think somebody's going to show on the shot map, annoyingly. Here it is. One from Laurent. Again, ball is really well played down our right hand side by Lyle Foster, by the rest of the Burnley squad. Ball is fizzed across the face of our box, and I think it takes there's a first deflection that kind of takes it away from the initial strike, and then Laurent just wallops it into the Burnley faithful behind the goal. there was definitely a sense at this point in the game that this Burnley side were lacking a sense of confidence in front of goal. I think it might be fair to say, given the chances they were creating. Look, if you're a side chasing for promotion at the top end of this division, you'd expect to be putting them away. You expect us to be 3-0 down at this point, given the chances they were making. But they get their wish finally. Michal Helick. It's really unfortunate. It's Cullen that flashes the ball into the area, and Michal Helick inadvertently knocks it in his own net. It's one of those kind of interceptions you see defenders make all the time. Sticks his leg out to try and put it past of the post. Unfortunately for Michal Helick and Oxford United, it's the wrong side of the post as it nestles in the back of the net. Jamie Cumming caught out. He was kind of, I think, a bit bewildered about what had just happened. But yeah, like I say, it was coming. The home side thoroughly deserved it. And we went into half-time pretty much with a mindset of we're lucky to only be the 1-0 down. Like I said, we did have the odd opportunity. There's a decent header from Greg Lee. After a good set piece, he's putting to put it ever so slightly wide. I think it's a really nice bit of play, if I remember rightly, where Michal Helick gets in an area where he nods it back across the face of the goal, and Lee just can't nod it home. Bradshaw, this is a really, really decent effort in the early going of this game. But it's a wide effort massively from Bradshaw, and the rest of Oxford's efforts are outside of the box and aren't really troubling James Trafford, who of course we know fairly well from his loan spell at Bolton a couple of years ago, where he took down, it was Carl Joseph, I believe it was, in the game at Grenoble Road. Didn't get himself sent off. Because that season any open chance on goal for Oxford United wasn't going to be that. But yeah, he had a relatively comfortable day at the office, did James Trafford. And again, if we just look at the passing metrics, double the passes attempted, double the passes completed from Burnley compared to ourselves. And as you can see, over half of their completed passes were in our half, which just cements how dominant they were on the ball. As we often see when we look at these metrics, the side that is under the cosh most often puts in the most interceptions and the most blocks. As you can see here, this is the most important thing, I think, for why Burnley were getting so many opportunities, especially in those wide spaces, because their men were winning their duels. Overall had an okay night at the office, but when you're up against the pace in this side, obviously this is a side that had just signed Marcus Edwards. He didn't come on the pitch, but there's still a lot of pace, a lot of trickery in this Burnley side. And yeah, they were winning their duels and really giving Greg Lee and Sam Long, Will Volks, Kieran Brown a real tough day. We did make an alteration at half time, that being that Will Volks, who had been booked and was maybe lucky to stay on the pitch after essentially, I believe it was foul was committed on, I believe it was Hannibal Maybury, and basically Will Volks just lashes out, punts the ball towards the Burnley player. And like I say, he's very, very lucky in that instance, because those are the kinds of offences that often you get to see awarded with a red card, because they're often deemed by referees as violent conduct. So he's very, very lucky boy, was Will Volks. But Siriki Dembele comes on the pitch to the detriment of Alex Matos, but we'll get onto him in a moment. And then second half was slightly more interesting, in the sense that I think Burnley were for the most part more comfortable, felt comfortable to kind of sit on the result and see it out. There was one or two big chances they created. Again, another one from Lyle Foster on his right foot. I think it's this one here from Lyle Foster. It's a really good bit of play. Just gets in the area, has the shot. It's curling, it looks like into the post. And Jamie Cumming just tips it around just to be on the safe side. And then there's another big one. I think it is, must be this one again from Lyle Foster, which is well saved by Jamie Cumming. As you can see, a lot of these efforts being had by Burnley around our centre circle from set pieces, specifically corner kicks. Yeah, an awful lot of success Burnley were finding from set pieces, but again, it was interesting because especially towards the end of the game, there was a lack of quality from both sides, not just in the in converting chances, but also in just general patterns of play. There was some sloppiness at times from both sides, and it almost led to Oxford getting level. There were some good bits of movement and good bits of play put together by Oxford, even if the only two efforts we had were blocked from Poeta and Brannigan. But again, as you can see here, just very high peaks from Burnley, higher than the efforts they had in the first half, but not amounting to an awful lot. And yeah, finishes full time at 1-0. Of course, the Burnley a 1.60 XG for the home side, 15 shots, 7 on target. We have only a 0.25 XG with 7 shots, 0 of them on target. Just to finish off the analysis of the second half, just to look at the passing metrics again. And slightly more passes from Oxford than in the first half, but again, the home side, the better side with the ball, more efficient with the ball, as you can see here. I said about a third of their passes were in our half again. 15 touches in the opposition box. Yeah, you know, very much using the wide areas and the quick plays they've got to their advantage, no doubt about it. Burnley ever so slightly better in defensive actions, in the sense that more deceptions made, same amount of blocks. Obviously, a lot of clearances being made by Oxford United. 5 saves made by Jamie Cumming, but in terms of cutting an opposition's momentum off in key moments, Burnley were better with the interceptions being made by their defensive and midfield players. And again, Jules, ever so slightly in the second half, weighted towards Oxford United, but again, that goes hand in hand with the fact that we were much under pressure in that second half. So yeah, let's quickly go through the lineup then. Like I say, it's a result we expected. It's not a result we need to dwell on too much. Jamie Cumming obviously gets Oxford's man of the match. Some big saves made by Jamie Cumming. Obviously, almost put us in the proverbial in the first half when he's trying to be too cute with the ball. But he recovers fairly well, and not an awful lot he can do about the goal that goes in. Sam Long, I thought he had a lot better second half than he did first half. I thought he struggled in the first half against Lyle Foster, particularly. And yeah, suffice to say that that left-hand side for Burnley were really causing our Bicester Brazier a bit of issues. Helick and Kieran Brown, look, you can't hold Helick's own goal against him or an awful lot. Like I said, it's just one of those where where he sticks a leg out trying to make a clearance or make a block, and it just comes off the wrong part of his foot and bounces into the net. Kieran Brown, again, fairly decent performance. And Greg Lee, again, decent. It was a very much meh overall performance for Oxford United. And I think fair to say that obviously we were second best on the night and Burnley deserved to win the game. But, no one's done themselves too much damage in terms of their credibility to start in the two very important games coming up. Of course, this week against Derby and against Portsmouth. Will Vaulks and Cameron Brannigan. Cam was fine. Better in the second half, I thought, in the way he was using the ball and the way he was retrieving the ball. Will Vaulks, like I say, came off at half time. Lucky to say on the pitch, I think. It's one of those performances from Will that we saw a little bit towards the beginning of his Oxford career, in a sense that not at his best really, and letting the game get a little bit under his skin. Boheta and Goodrum. Shemi was dangerous down our right hand side, looking good, looking direct. Only problem is, again, that we come to with Shemi Boheta is that because he's cutting in on his left foot, instead of trying to find the pass, he has to go from range. Doesn't always work out for us, most of the time. Let's not forget he scored 2 goals. It's not a great one for Shemi, to be honest with you. Goodrum, again, not a great one either for Tyler Goodrum. He really struggled, I think, against Roberts and against Cullen. They were on him like a hawk. That's the difference in experience on this pitch, to be honest with you. Tyler's still learning his trade as a championship player. They're veteran in terms of Champions League campaigns, and I believe also both of them were playing in the Premier League, weren't they? So they've got that extra bit of experience under their belt that they're a bit more smart when it comes to decision making in those kind of tight moments. Alex Matos, like I say, I thought he had a really, really good first half. Tenacious, that robustness that we've seen in the challenge he's making when he's playing as a 6, really helping when he's going forward, because he's not afraid to put that challenge in to really put pressure on the opposition and cause them a lot of problems. I'm not sure if Alex Matos should start there against Portsmouth or Derby, but definitely I think a role we can explore in the future for Alex Matos. I thought this was his best performance so far. Obviously, kind of goes with the territory of the fact that he played a full 90 minutes, but you know what I mean. And then Tom Bradshaw, not an awful lot to do. We talked about it time and time again when a player is in the graveyard shift, feeding off scraps. In the early going of the game, he, obviously has that chance in the 5th minute, which is not bad. But he didn't have an awful lot else to do. There's not an awful lot he could do, to be honest with you. And then again, all 5 substitutions used. Siriki Dembele. So Siriki was a little bit like Shemi in the sense that because he's playing in on his preferred foot and cutting inside, he tried to go for goal a fair number of times, again getting muscle of the ball fairly easily, but his trickery and his silkiness on the ball did pull him out of 1 or 2 difficult situations. Mark Harris came on with an hour gone. Look, if anyone's getting annoyed at this substitution continuing happening, I don't know why, given the fact this is a repeated substitution that's been made by Oxford United time and time and time again. It's under Des, under Rowett, because of the nature of the system, you have to change a striker, inside half hour. And Harris he had 1 decent break forward, but he couldn't make the most of it because the Burnley defence were very quick to get back to him. Idris El Mazouni, I thought he looked bright for the first 5 minutes on the pitch, then he sort of faded, I think, as he dropped more into that deep midfield as we were trying to combat Burnley, the last gasp efforts to try and get a second. Matt Phillips, there's been a lot of pressure on, or a lot of criticism I should say, on Matt Phillips, and a lot of pressure on him to perform. You know, I've said time and time again my thoughts on Matt Phillips. I'm not going to go into him too much in this game. Had one decent bit of play down the right hand side. We just couldn't beat his man. All I'll say on that is I come back to what I've said a few times in the fact that at the age he is now, he's not quite got the legs to be beating defenders who are going to be playing in the Premier League or who at this moment are playing at the top end of the Championship. He's not able to do that anymore. That's all I'll say on Matt Phillips. You know, I know a lot of people are going in on Matt Phillips at the minute. Yeah, I'm not going to, you know, I didn't see an awful lot wrong with Matt Phillips' performance against Burnley for the short time he was on the pitch. And then Ole Romane came on with about 10 minutes to go. Didn't have an awful lot of time to impress and barely got on the ball, to be honest with you. So yeah, not an awful lot there for Ole Romane. But yeah, that's it. 1-0 loss against Scott Parker's Burnley. I will say, with all due respect to Burnley, you know, I've through this video, you know, gushed about just, you know, the qualities they've got and all that kind of thing. I will say, of the top end sides we've played this season, I think maybe they're the worst, in the sense that they're taking their chances. Like I said, there was a lot of sloppiness in their play. You know, when we played Sunderland, when we played Sheffield United, when we played Leeds, they were a lot more... I think the best way to put it is that when we played Leeds, when we played Sheffield United, when we played Sunderland, anytime they came forward, I thought, that, you know, they're going to try and really, you know, increase their goal difference here. Against Burnley, I really got the sense from this Parker side that when they got that first goal, it was going to be a sense of sit on it and maybe half-assed pushes to try and get a second goal. Like I said, don't get me wrong, they have their opportunities to really ratchet up the scoreline, but that lack of clinality, I don't know if that's even a word, but you know what I mean, you know, that lack of deadly finishing in front of goal, and the fact that in the late stage of the game, maybe, you know, they could see the result on the horizon. You know, Parker wanted to send them out to just kind of, you know, see it through. They were a little bit sloppy in that game. So, you know, of the top end sides we've played away from home, I think they are the weakest. I think, ironically, they looked better when they came to Grenoble Road and drew 0-0. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on the 1-0 loss to Burnley. Yeah, I'll see you for a review of the Derby game.